Hey everybody, we're live. Sorry if we had another little technical difficulty there. I'm here in Santa Monica, California. It's kind of a gloomy, gray day, and hopefully some people will join us. I see there's at least one person here. Thanks so much for joining me today. And my app is telling me I have a poor connection, so I'm gonna keep walking and hopefully get some better reception so that you guys can see and hear me all right. But today I'm going to be talking about Lyft and some major improvements that they've made in 2017, because up until now I've actually preferred Uber just because of the way the system worked and the information that it provided me, and even with advantages that Lyft had for drivers like tipping and stuff, I still did better with Uber. I'm going to try to hustle across the street right here just so that hopefully we can get a better connection. So looks like we're doing a little bit better. So whoever was watching earlier, hopefully you'll join back in again. But looks like we're doing a little bit better. Hey to everybody out there. Today we're going to be talking about Lyft. This is a live stream, so if you're joining me now, feel free to say hi and let me know what city you're watching from. And if you're watching the replay later on, be sure to check the notes down below, because I will annotate this video and let you know where you can find all the information, like at what time in the video, so that you don't have to watch through the whole thing, because it is a live video. We'll be doing some interaction with anybody who wants to leave a comment. And sorry for that colorful language there, but like I said, we're live. So again, I'm here in downtown Santa Monica, right by the Santa Monica Pier, which I'm going to show you right now. And if you guys can see and hear me okay, please let me know. I did notice that I have kind of a bad connection, so hopefully that won't continue, but do want to show you the Santa Monica Pier in just a second here, and hopefully you guys will be able to see it. So let's take a look. There's the pier way down there with the Ferris wheel, all that good stuff. Whoa, how about that for some zoom in action? So there's the Ferris wheel, the Santa Monica Pier, and it's a really gray day. They call it June gloom out here in Santa Monica. And I'm still showing a poor connection on my end, so hopefully you guys can see and hear me okay. And again, if you are watching a replay of this live video, be sure to check the notes below. And you can check the notes too if you're watching live to see some links that I've left about this. So basically last year, I made a video and the title was 4 reasons that I earned more with Uber than I do with Lyft. And at the time it was all true, and I didn't see it changing so quickly, but a lot of things have changed. So just to go over kind of what I covered in that video. Basically, the first thing was the ride volume, and with Lyft, they just never had the ride volume to compete with Uber, who was the dominant player and still is in the market. But come January, a lot of things changed. We got a new president for one thing, but along with that, Uber started having some really bad PR. They made some major missteps, and they're basically in crisis mode right now. But it all started in January when the first travel ban was announced, and drivers got really upset with Uber for suggesting that they turn off surge pricing at JFK when drivers were trying to not give rides there at all, taxi drivers, Uber drivers, because they were upset at the way immigrants were going to be treated by the travel ban. So this whole delete Uber campaign started, and that was on the rider side. So they were deleting Uber and switching over to Lyft. So this increased Lyft's passenger volume, which was one of the problems I had with Lyft last year. So I have noticed here in Los Angeles a lot more Lyft requests this year, and I think it's partly because of that. Now the delete Uber campaign continued into February when there were some sexual harassment allegations against Uber made. And then even up until recently, they had an investigation into all that, into basically their workplace and their corporate culture, which is really toxic. And it was only at the on the corporate level, not even what's going on with the drivers. So that's really given Lyft major steam in 2017 in terms of ride volume. I see so many more Lyft requests. Last year I would turn on my Lyft app and rarely get requests, maybe one for every 5 Uber requests. Now it's almost 1-to-1 in Los Angeles at least. In your city it might be different, but generally we're kind of a good barometer because we're one of the biggest markets for rideshare, and a lot of what happens here follows into other major metropolitan areas. It's always different in every city, but from what I've seen from other drivers, Lyft hasn't increased the ride volume a lot everywhere. So that was the first thing that I had mentioned. And then the second thing I mentioned was Uber's boost zones. And all Lyft had was these like average hourly guarantees, or they had their own kind of zones, but they were never big and they were never very good earnings. Well, Lyft's changed that also, because now they have something called power zones, which are essentially the same as Uber boosts. And I've had some good ones myself. It seems like the offers change every week, just like they do with Uber. But maybe not as strong yet in terms of how much extra I can earn with the power zones compared to Uber, but still, it's pretty much the same feature, so it should help me earn a lot more than I could before. And then the other cool thing, one advantage of Lyft's power zones over Uber's boost is that with Uber's boost, the request has to be within the boost zone, but with Lyft's power zone, you can actually, if you're inside the boost zone, even if the request comes from outside the boost zone, that still counts for you, for the power zone, for Lyft's feature. So that's a huge plus for Lyft. So you can get additional earnings by being in the right spot at the right time and then just getting a request, so that's awesome. And then, let's see, what else did we have? Another thing was the acceptance rate, right? I hate acceptance rates because with acceptance rates, everything is out of your control if you're trying to maintain a certain acceptance rate. And the reason it's out of your control is because you have absolutely no control over that next request that's coming, where it is, what the prime time multiplier is on it, anything like that. So power zones, power time. Okay, so yeah, the acceptance rate. Last year, Lyft had very kind of misleading language on their website. And hey, Alec, thank you so much for the message. Sorry I missed you. Maybe next time. But last year, Lyft had really misleading language on their website about acceptance rates, and it said that you could be deactivated for not maintaining an acceptance rate. But this year, it's very, very clear. They've updated it, and you only have to accept the rides you want to. And I left a link down below so you can check that out. And I'm also going to cover all this stuff more in depth and kind of show you visual examples in a full-on video. So if you want to get that first and you want to be notified of that immediately when it comes out, there's a link down below. Just sign up to get my report for 2017 on Lyft's new tools for drivers and how they'll help us. So I'll post a video about it, with full descriptions of everything. But if you want to be the first to know, just sign up there. And then another new feature on Lyft that is getting some coverage today, and actually I benefited from it recently myself. And I'm sorry if you guys are having trouble hearing or seeing me. My phone tells me I have a poor connection, even though I have a great cell phone signal. So I don't know what's going on. Hopefully you can see me. But Lyft improved their tipping. And even though they've always had tipping, which has been awesome for drivers, I always had a major problem with it because it sounds great that you get tips and a lot of drivers love it. But when I looked at the numbers, I did better with Uber just because I had more rides and better rides and more surge rides. Because with Lyft, the way it worked on the passenger side was that at the end of the ride, it would prompt you to tip, but it would have these preset amounts that were really little, like $1, $2, or other. So the passenger really had to go out of his or her way to leave you a generous tip. They had to click on other, and then, do you really want to leave a $10 tip or whatever? So that was kind of lame, because even if you gave somebody like a 50-mile ride that took an hour, it would still say, hey, do you want to tip your driver $1 or $2? And that's really not cool. But Lyft's improved that, because now on longer rides, I believe it says like $2, $5, or $10. And I can tell you that I actually gave an airport ride last week, and nice folks gave me a $15 tip. So I would have to imagine it maybe had something to do with Lyft's improved tipping feature and actually encouraging passengers to tip a reasonable amount based on the length of their ride. So another plus for Lyft right there. And then finally, the biggest improvement for Lyft, at least for me, in 2017 is something called Primetime on Accept. Now I think it's lame that they're even making a big deal of this, because this feature should have been in their app years ago. And just to explain to you what it is, it's basically telling you the price multiplier when the request comes in. And the way Uber has always worked was that when you would get an Uber request, it would tell you the pickup location, it would tell you the passenger's rating, and it still does. And it would also tell you the price multiplier, like if it was on a surge or a boost, it would say this ride, if you accept it, you'll be paid at 2 times the normal rate, or 1.6 times the normal rate, or 3.5 times the normal rate. Surge is how we make money in this business. It's a price multiplier. Imagine if you had a job where, you normally earn $10 an hour, but if you went in at the right times, you'd make $20 an hour. We got to take advantage of that, and that's why surge and prime time are so important. So anyway, the Uber request would tell you, you're going to make 3 times as much on this ride or whatever it is. And if I was in a busy area at a time when the bar was closing or what have you, of course I'm going to want one of those rides that's going to be on a multiplier, on a high multiplier. But up until a few months ago with Lyft, you had no idea. They treated it like a game, and you didn't find out if you got paid the prime time until the end of the ride. So I would never even turn on Lyft when it was busy because of that feature, because I need to know how much I'm working for. So before they had this feature, just imagine this. It was like, imagine that you have a job, and like I said, you're going in expecting to make 20 bucks an hour because you're working when it's busy. But the way it works is they tell you at the end of your shift how much you earn per hour. So it shouldn't work like that. I mean, we should know how much we're going to be paid per mile, per minute. We have no idea where the ride is going. All we know is where it's starting. But we should at least know the rate we're working for, because if there's a lot of traffic, or if potentially we have to deal with drunks or whatever, we need to be rewarded for that. We need to be rewarded for driving at times of high demand, not just the potential to be rewarded. So Lyft has finally corrected that, and now they have Primetime on Accept, where just like Uber, when the request comes in, I can see that it says plus 100%, which would be like a 2.0 surge on Uber, or plus 200%. So I can choose which rides to take, because those are going to be the profitable rides, of course. So that's been a huge feature for me, and I'm going to even show you guys how I use that Primetime on Accept to get a huge fare recently, just a couple weeks ago. But my Lyft app and show you. So, and I keep walking around this area just trying to find a spot where I can maintain a good connection. I keep getting a poor connection signal, so sorry if the video or audio are choppy at all. Hopefully you can see me and hear me okay. But I am going to open up my Lyft app and try to show you guys this right here. So take a look. If I can get my camera, here we go. Okay, so I'm going to go into my driving history, and I know it's not that clear. Here we go. And check out this ride. So the Primetime on Accept that I was telling you about, right? I was way out in Malibu. And if you don't know, that's like along the coast here in the LA area, and it's just kind of an isolated area because there's mountains that prevent you from getting quickly over to the beach area. And you can see on this May 21st, 2017, I'm not sure if you can see, it might be out of focus, but anyway, it says I earned $167 that day on 3 rides. And now check it out. It wasn't even 3 rides. It looks like it was only 2 rides. But this one right here, and I'm not sure if you can see it, but it was for $147. I'm not sure it's going to load. Okay. It did not load. Sorry about that. It said there was a problem. That happened to me earlier. I'm not sure why. But let me just bring that back up real quick for you. Because I want to show you like how important this Primetime on Accept is. Now, that ride, I got paid out, and hopefully you guys can just see how big that number is, even if it's not focusing, but it's this one right here. It's $147.70. And that was the payout to me. So the ride, the total fare was like $180. And the way I got it was by capitalizing on the new Primetime on Accept feature. And that's what I would always do in the past with Uber, was hunt for surges, not necessarily go out and hunt for them. Sometimes, you see patterns and develop and you follow those patterns. And something that I know is that there's often really high demand out in the Malibu area, but it's super isolated. So you really got to commit to going out there to getting these rides. And it's possible that you can strike out, but I usually do all right myself. And on that particular day, I was out in Malibu running Uber and Lyft. I was near an area with really bad reception. And there were requests coming in, but they were bad, and I waited for a better one. I ignored the ones that weren't a plus 200 or whatever else, and I got a plus 250, and it ended up being like a 50-mile ride to downtown LA, 47 miles or something, and you saw the payout to me, $147. So if I hadn't had prime time, if it had been like these games that Lyft used to play where they didn't tell you the prime time until the end, that ride would have been like $60, right? But instead it's 147 because I was able to make an informed decision and see the primetime amount and then choose to accept that ride. Now, obviously not every ride is gonna be 50 miles. Most rides are not gonna be almost 50 miles. But the most important thing is the rate that you're working for, not how long a ride is. So as long as you can consistently get rides, and if there is prime time in your area, you definitely wanna take advantage of that, because it's better to wait for a plus 100 and get one ride than do 2 Lyft rides when there's no prime time. You're gonna be driving less miles, earning more per mile, earning more per minute. You're gonna be happier. There's gonna be less wear and tear on your vehicle, both inside and out. So that's why capitalizing on, prime time and surge are so, so important. So, I didn't think I'd be saying this so soon after I checked out that last video I was talking about where I said that, I earned more with Uber because of all of those factors, and that everything has been flipped just about 9 months later or so. And again, take a look at the links below, and I'll annotate this video after the live stream's over. But the main reasons why Lyft is such a better opportunity now in 2017 are, first of all, the ride volume is way up thanks to Uber, just with all their PR missteps, and Travis couldn't. He kept putting his foot in his mouth, and just all the problems they've been having at the corporate level and everything. Lyft has really surged. You like that? You like that, Uber? Lyft has really surged in 2017. And then there was the improved tipping feature, which I mentioned, where they actually suggest reasonable tips on longer rides for customers, which is nice of them. And like I said, I just got a $15 tip the other day, and I'm pretty sure that new feature had something to do with it. Or maybe just the passenger was super cool. And then we have the primetime on accept, which I just discussed in depth, and how important it is to know the rate that you're working for. And Lyft is finally telling us that with primetime on accept. And what were the other things we talked about? Let me just check my notes real quick. But let's see here. Well, my notes won't load either. It's that kind of day. But obviously, I do want to try to remember the other things that I went over. But you can always rewind the video to see them. But I'm sure they were very important. But we had primetime on accept. We had more Lyft requests. Oh, acceptance rate. You don't have to worry about your acceptance rate. Lyft is finally not being fishy about that. Though I will say they still send these like threatening and misleading messages and texts when you don't accept rides, like warning, you haven't accepted rides, please only go online when you're ready to accept rides and keep the Lyft community moving, or some nonsense like that. Look, I'm gonna accept the rides that make sense for me, and those are gonna be the ones with a prime time on them most likely. So I just ignore all of those warnings. So Lyft has really come up big, and if you're not a Lyft driver yet, definitely give it a chance, especially in the summertime. Here in LA, this is the busiest time of year. I've always made the most money with Uber and Lyft in July and August. So if you're thinking about doing it here or any other market where summer is busy, it's a good idea to get started signing up with Lyft now. Like San Francisco is probably super busy in the summer. I would imagine New York. Some desert cities and hotter cities in the south are gonna be better in the winter, but at least here in LA, we seem to just get so much tourism in the summertime. I've can literally make twice as much money here in the summer than I can in some of the slower winter months. So it's always good to take advantage of that, because earning more is obviously a better thing. So if you haven't signed up for Lyft yet, I definitely encourage you to do that. If you want to sign up through my referral link, that would be awesome for me. It would help me so that I can continue to talk to you guys on the phone and create videos like this to show you about my experiences and how I've been able to maximize my earnings and how you can too. If you don't use my referral link, definitely use a friend's. If you do use mine, I may be eligible for a bonus, so I do want to let you guys know that. And anybody out there who needs assistance, please feel free to leave a comment. I want to help all drivers maximize their earnings and just absolutely rock it. When I first started driving for Uber and Lyft, I was like, this is really cool, super gung-ho about it. But soon enough, I learned that, it's kind of a dog-eat-dog world out there, and it's every man for himself. Lyft doesn't care about us. Uber doesn't care about us. And I decided, you know what? I'm going to beat them at their own game. And that's why I study the fine language on, about acceptance rates, and why I decided not to drive for Lyft for a while before they had prime time on Accept, which they finally have. Because I'm all about making informed decisions to maximize my earnings and do what's best for me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this live stream. Again, if you are watching it on a delay, thanks for tuning in, and be sure to check out all the notes down below and all the links and everything down there. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you do have any questions, please feel free to leave a comment down below. And wherever you're watching from, I hope you're having a wonderful day. Hopefully it's a little bit more sunny wherever you're at, and I will see you guys soon. Bye now.